Dr. Farhan.
Hello, hi.
Hi
Hi,
guys.
good
Hi,
evening.
hi
And
Brian.
Bronson Chan.
Yes.
How
What's
are
up,
you,
Ryan? Long time no see.
my Sifu? Yes, missed your training sessions, man.
Yeah. Miss you too, man. Long time no see. Everything okay on your side, Brian? All good?
Okay, okay.
Yeah. How was your? I know it's way back, but the ankle fully okay from the bicycle
Yes,
accident.
but the scars are still
All
there.
right.
Sorry, I'm just adjusting my ambient temperature. Yeah.
Oh, lucky you.
Hi, Dr. Farhan. Hi, Bronson. How are you?
Mm,
Hello, hi everyone. Hello, hi Aloy.
hi.
Hey. Well, it's just 8:01. Shall we get started? And
Okay, go.
okay, go. Good. Let's go. Ready, set, go. Bye. Okay. It's Friday evening, and thank you everybody for joining us here on vintageradio.sg. We've got Dr. Farhan with us, as well as Bronson, who's been a regular on our channel as far as exercises go. And I think between Bronson and Brian, you've put Brian through some paces, right, in terms of exercising and stretching and all.
Yes, I did. It was quite some time back. It was really fun. Great to finally meet the legend.
Oops, I think we lost Dr.
Oh,
Farhan. Whoa, okay. All right, well, we wait. Say again, Brian?
Oh, she went for a walk.
All
She'll be back.
right.
She'll be back in a minute.
It must be the connection. So, Bronson, how have you been during this time, COVID? Are you like getting a lot of people primed, ready, exercising
uh,
at home?
yeah, it's interesting. I'm just trying to be agile and pivot through all these things. You know, it's tough. You're gonna make adjustments all the time according to what the government come up with and according to the situation, of course. But all in all, it's just pulling through. You know, just taking it day by day, but yet have a larger plan. But you know, it's busy for sure. Doing lots of online classes, switching up from this week on. So I didn't
Right.
know online classes. I absolutely understand how people who work in the office feels now. Because I'm always looking at the screen I've been looking at the screen for quite a bit this few days. So that's good. But it's good, you know, good to understand where the other people,
Sorry.
my clients are feeling. Welcome
Wow.
back.
Okay. Well, welcome back from your walk.
Thank you.
Just now, Brian was saying that you went for a quick walk.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I'm trying the life from another spot in my home. Yeah. So it's not the usual place that I am at. Yeah. But I think with my personal hotspot, it should be fine. Hopefully.
Cool. All right. If not,
Okay.
we'll have a talk
Great.
with was it Singtel, StarHub, or M1?
Sure. Yeah.
Not not very good advertisement. Okay, so okay, let's get to the topic itself, because we're here, we're pretty much talking about how do we embrace our golden years, right? And in our past sessions with Speaker Tan and all that, I think one of the things that was brought up was, now instead of lifespan, it is more health span, right? So really today, I think especially with Bronson here, as well as you, Dr. Farhan, Jerry, gerontology being your area of expertise, I'd like to hear from the both of you, like, what is it that we can do to better understand, how is it like, what's the view from, what was the medical view of somebody who's a senior? What are the challenges? And then maybe, Brian, you can chime in as well, as to say, well, oh yeah, that's what's happening. And, Bronson, do come in with what you have in terms of exercises. What are the safe things? What are the easy things that our seniors can do, or for that matter, anyone can do, right? We are, like what you said earlier, now you get it, like staying at home, staring at the screen and all this. So what are you doing actually to get the blood pumping a little bit and a lot, depending on whatever the flavor is. So maybe I can throw it over to you first, Dr. Farhan. In your field itself, what would be, your advice looking at seniors? How should we start to age gracefully, plan ahead?
Well, I must say that age is just a number. Age is just a number. So if I look at the patient information sheet, and this person is like 82 years old, you know, I have no idea whether the person who will come in would be in a wheelchair, you know, whether they are going to be tube fed, or whether they are like a CEO of a, you know, big MNC. So age itself, it really doesn't give much information at all. And I've seen like really great 80-year-olds, 90-year-olds. Like my oldest patient was 105 and she went for hip surgery. Yeah, she went for hip surgery and she walked out of hospital.
Oh my.
So, why? Pardon?
I said, oh my.
Oh, yeah. It was amazing because she, you know, she did well. So of course, her son was in his 80s. Because if you're 105, then I suppose, you know, your son would be like an older person as well. So her son was conflicted, should mom go for surgery or not? And he decided, yes, you know, she walked before the fall, so he wanted her to walk again. So they just took the risk and she did really well. Yeah. So seeing patients every day, those who are really well in their 80s, I mean, I ask them, what do you do? What are the things, you know, that you make a habit, and how do you look so good? So a lot of times they are really physically active, they are, you know, they are maintaining a healthy body weight, and of course sometimes it's personality. They've got you know, really, I mean, they are generally upbeat and positive, so mental and emotional health is really important as well. Yeah, so I strongly believe in you know, like our lifestyle choices would affect the way we age, because I see it every day.
Right, right. Well, Brian, any thoughts on that? I mean, you are, you know, in your 70s, if I can share that information.
And I thought I was 25.
Age is just a number. Yeah.
Exactly.
Age
That's
is
what
just
Dr.
a
Farhan
number.
said, and it's all up here, yeah? It's how you
Exactly.
feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the thing is to, you know, to start enjoying life, no matter at what stage you are. And this concept starts not just when you become old, but is a mindset that applies to anyone at any stage of their life. And the thing is to be connected with friends. You've got to have a network of friends to keep you socially active and healthy. And because if you are secluded, if you are all by yourself, it all can lead into depression. So the thing is to be socially active, and there you are. Be involved with whatever activities with your friends and you know, your network and your network of kakis and all that, and you live a happy life. That's for sure. You look forward to each day, as opposed to some people who are totally on their own and you know, just wallowing in self-pity and staying home, and that's a sure way of going to the grave as soon as they can. So the thing is, look at every day and yearn for things to happen. Not just, you know, don't just look at things negatively. You've got to be positive. You've got to have a very positive attitude in life. Yeah? Aloy?
Well, well said, Brian. And I guess the other thing really is to make sure that, you know, you consistently go for your health check. Make sure that, you know, all the little bits and pieces are all working okay, right? Speaking of working okay and the little bits and pieces, Bronson, you know, now that we're back to, I'm confused, phase 2, heightened, cannot go out, suck thumb, right? So what would be, you know, the simple things that people can do regardless of age at home? You know, you're not encouraged not to go out, right? Or maybe you go out for a brisk walk, not rock. But outside of that, you know, what can you do at home, even when you're watching TV?
There are a few simple things you can do for sure. First thing is to basically, if you're working from home, definitely you'll be at least 8 hours, 6 hours, I would say, on a chair. So what I will always encourage my clients, even for all ages, even the younger ages now, because working from home, you know, it's also some of them are in school. So I will always remind all my clients to maintain a good posture, whatever they do, especially at home and especially when they're sitting down, because that's the cause of a lot of lower back issues from my experience with my clients. And I mean, if you're watching TV, you're Netflix and chill, what you can do is instead of sitting on the sofa, what you can do is maybe sit on the floor if you can. And by sitting on the floor, you're already naturally trying to do some kind of mild stretching, if you know what I mean. Because if you sit on the floor for a position for more than 2 minutes, you won't be comfortable and you need to switch positions. And if you can think about that way, your hips are always moving in a way. So stretching and kind of mild stretching exercises like that. So I think that's what I always tell my clients, as in on the base level, that's what they should do. Watch their posture, do a lot of light stretching. You know, sometimes when you watch a TV or, you know, when you're playing with a child, if it's a young child, just sit down and on the floor and play, because I think a lot of us forget how to sit on the floor. You'll be amazed that a lot of senior clients have not sat on the floor for the longest time. So that's one thing I'll encourage them.
Yeah. I was just thinking about my Netflix posture, and it's lying in bed. So
yeah, my wife always gives me a lot of heat, because like when we do movie night, I'll be on the floor stretching, you know, doing all my things. Then she'll be like, "What are you doing? Can you stop what you're doing and just watch the show?" So, but it's what I do, you know, like I'm so used to it, yeah.
Bronson, I think that was a hint for you to do a cuddle, not to step or anything, but you know, like, hey, some attention here, you know. But interestingly, when you were mentioning, you know, posture, I immediately like, okay, I set up, and I think Dr. Farhan did that.
Yes.
You know,
I know, I always one of the things is I would like to share. I think it's very important for all the viewers to know is I always tell all my clients the same thing, like, you have the right to know your own body. You know what I mean? Do not give this right to anyone. Whether I always tell them, I tell them, don't give this right to me also. You know, you have to know your own body, because you know, only you yourself know where are your problems. And if you can figure them out fast, you will learn how to kind of make yourself feel better first. And if you can't, then you look for the professionals like the physiotherapist or chiropractor for some people. At least you know what's wrong. They can help you faster. But I think a lot of people nowadays, even of all ages, is they have a problem. They just go straight to the, sort of like if you're a car, you just go straight to the workshop and blindly let the mechanic just bomb you with big bills and stuff, you know, making you buy packages, you know what I mean? So I think it's good to know your own body first, so that you can actually take that little shortcut to firstly solve it yourself if you have an issue. And if you can't, then when the professionals come in to help you, it's easier for them to kind of go directly into the problem instead of trying to guess what's wrong. So that is one of the things I like to share. Yeah.
Cool. But so I guess, well, putting it the other way is that, you know, don't spend too much money on a nice, comfortable chair where you can kick back and, you know, like, you know, one side there's a cup holder, and another one is like snacks holder and all this, and then just, you know, go for something simple, sit on the floor if you can, you know, and try and move about a bit. Yeah. Okay, cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Especially for kids, I suppose.
Yeah, I love the idea. It's the first time. I love the idea. It's the first time that I'm hearing such a thing. I mean, we hear about standing desk, right?
Yes.
I have a younger brother, and he's a lawyer. So he's sitting at his desk for, I think, up to 16 hours a day. Yeah, so he's invested in a standing desk. And I think just by, you know, changing your position, you're encouraged to move. Yeah. Yep. So sitting on the floor would be the same, right? You are more inclined to move.
Yes.
But it's the first time I'm hearing it. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I set a challenge. No, I mean, actually a lot of things is I look at how the client work. And for example, a case study would be one client who is 74 years old, a lady who's 74. When she first came to me, she was with a walking stick, walking aid. And she told me that she can't do without the stick. And then I asked her, when was the last time you sat on the floor? She couldn't give me an answer because it's ages ago. The stick has become part of her. So I progressively took the stick away from her during our sessions, of course, but I told her that if you're walking alone, try not to put pressure on the stick, try and use your core to walk a bit more. Oh. And I challenged her, like, look, how about this? In 6 months' time, let's get you sitting on the floor. So the whole process of this, like, took 6 months. It took a long time, but and she's somewhere near going down now, still getting a bit of confidence. But in the process of this, she has strengthened her legs, her abs, her back, without even knowing it, and having fun at the same time. So it's like a little challenge, but I try and entice the clients to kind of like little challenges that they subconsciously didn't know they're actually trying to tone up a lot of other parts of their body in the process of that. So yeah, that's an example that I would help the senior clients, for example. Yeah.
So, throwing this question to Brian. Brian, would you take on the challenge to, like, sit on the floor and watch your
I
favorite?
I actually picked up a lot in my session with Bronson. Thanks to you, Bronson, I've picked up all the tips that you gave me on the
Yeah.
various exercises, especially the stretching, and I've
Yeah.
continued doing it ever since, and I have improved
Oh, that's good.
greatly.
That's
I have
good.
improved.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. In fact, we should encourage people to go on to Bronson's video exercise video clips to catch some of the exercises that he has arranged for listeners. Yeah, Aloy, you should do
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
definitely. I mean, Bronson's video is always on the app.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
I
Dr.
saw
Farhan.
you. Sorry, I saw you dance on TikTok, Ryan. It's like, yeah, you.
Who? Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I tried my best. Yeah.
Okay. So the stretching exercises are very effective.
Help.
It helped with your dancing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
In fact, what's the surprising thing is that ever since we started Vintage Radio and all, right, where we've got listeners coming in, all this, and listeners with different skill sets, different interests and all this. What's the interesting thing is that the dance video that you saw, Dr. Farhan, that was actually
Yes.
choreographed by one of our weekend warriors who's a line dance instructor.
Oh,
Right.
wow.
And yeah, I mean, it was actually during the weekend warrior session that we had with him, and then he was like talking this and that. I was like going, hey, can you come up with a dance for the DJs, the four of them? Something simple, nothing too challenging that they can actually do. Like I say, yeah, I can, no problem, man. And then he actually recorded a video for us, right, for the presenters, and I sent it to them to say, okay, follow this, and with Elvis Presley song and all this, right? And then they were like, oh, no, this is not working. So he actually came in after that to train, to have a session with everybody when we were going to do the recording. So it was really him. You don't see him dancing in the video, but he was actually in front of them. And then all four of them were actually like following and just having fun. And
Yes,
I guess, yeah, I think that the thing is just to have fun, right? And you can do it alone at home. You can do it when situations are better, improved, that you can do it with a few friends as well. And don't be shy. Everybody's just out to have fun, and I think that's what it is, So coming back to your field of expertise, Dr. Farhan, what would you think is a good advice to everybody to, like, as far as checkups are concerned, what they should be looking out for and all, as we grow? I mean, okay, I'm guilty of it, but how regular should you go for your checkup, and what should you be looking out for?
Yeah, I suppose that's a question which I commonly get. So what are people's top concerns? People are concerned about cancer. Yeah, they're concerned about cancer. An older person may be concerned about their memory. So dementia is big. And I suppose, diabetes it's really an epidemic. So if there's one thing that you can do, it would be just to screen your blood sugar, get your blood pressure checked. So these two factors are really very strong risk factors for dementia. Having diabetes itself puts you at increased risk of dementia. And high blood pressure is really bad for the brain because it's the #1 risk factor for stroke. And we know that both these diseases, dementia and high blood pressure, they both cause like chronic illness, and they are big risk factors. Sorry, I hear my baby crying outside the room. So a little bit distracted. But I would say, if you've got a strong family history, go for the check. These diseases I mentioned, diabetes and high blood pressure, they both have no symptoms. But if you're above 40, yeah.
Oops. I think the baby may have. Oh, okay. So you were
Sorry, did
saying
I drop
above
off a
40.
little bit?
Yeah. So just to repeat, if you're above 40, you should at least go for your checkup every 2 years.
Every year, every year.
Oh, every
So
year.
get a sugar check and a blood pressure checked. Yeah.
Cool. So what about the other things? Something like because we just did a podcast today, and well, this is pre-selling it. We're doing we have a podcast that's going to be out on Vintage Radio about hearing, and it's links to actually other things like dementia and all this.
Yes.
So
Yes.
would you advise that to get the hearing checked as well?
Well, I guess your hearing would be something that's really obvious. If you cannot hear, it's apparent to other people straight away. Yeah. The thing about hearing is that if you live in a silent world, it's very difficult for you to participate in family conversations around the dinner table, for example. So hearing impaired older people, they are very understimulated, and they are at high risk of dementia. If they already have dementia, they are at high risk of their dementia progressing rapidly. Yeah, so I would say that hearing is definitely valuable.
Okay.
Sorry,
So
am I dropping off again? Oh, it's okay.
No, it was
Is the
okay for the
connection not
past
great?
few.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Past few minutes was okay. I think your baby might be playing with the wires. No,
Possibly,
just joking.
yeah.
Blocking the Wi-Fi, Mommy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things that we actually learned from the owner of one of the companies that's doing listening and hearing and all this, right, is that you're very right. This in that sense that if you don't get enough audio stimulation, then that leads to less stimulation for the brains. But
Exactly.
I guess for a lot of people, right, sometimes they just take it as no lie, is the fella's mumbling, or what are the telltale signs that I guess it's tantamount to saying putting a frog in water in a pot and slowly boiling the water, right? Sometimes people don't realize that they actually have hearing impairment, right? So I guess it is important to get it checked along with your blood sugar and everything else, and eyesight. I guess eyesight is a lot clearer because you can't see, you bump into things. Okay, yeah, you need glasses.
Yeah.
But hearing, sometimes a lot of people just don't don't realize it that much, right? And that's definitely something. So just pre-selling it, the podcast itself, in fact, the fun thing is that there is actually a very simple test that we did within the podcast itself of a hearing test.
Oh, wow.
So it's a nice indication that if you can't hear the tones, I'm not going to tell you how many tones, but if you can't, Brian's laughing away. If you can't hear the tones, then it's really an indication that you should go get your ears checked. It's a very simple test. It's not all encompassing, but just an indication. Say something, Brian.
No, I took the test, and I identified 3 of those, the sounds out of 5. So I have to go for a thorough check now.
Well, that's in fact. Yeah, go ahead, Dr. Farhan.
I'm just wondering whether, because a test is a test, but how about your function? As in, do you have problems hearing? Do you have any issues with your hearing?
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay. Yeah.
But, or at least I think not, unless my wife thinks otherwise, But, one thing that I notice of late, when I put on the headphones, I tend to bring up the volume quite loud.
Okay.
And the next DJ who takes over and puts on that same headphones, and they will say, "Brian, so loud, why?" So I say, hey. Yeah, I suppose, I've been in the disco business as well. So I've been, confronted with huge, big speakers that make a lot of big noise and all that. So it has affected over the years. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But the thing about wives and husbands, sometimes it's not hearing, sometimes it's listening, right? They hear you, but they don't listen.
Guilty.
You're right. Yeah, you're right.
The 3 guys here are just going to say, yes, guilty.
Guilty as charged, right?
You hear what you just want to hear. That's all,
Okay, so moving from hearing to back to some healthy activities and all right, Bronson. Earlier, you were saying that sitting on the floor is just definitely one exercise that you would recommend, or one posture where you would recommend for people who are watching like Netflix and all this. But what about those who are behind the desk for 8 hours, and this includes students. And when you talk about posture, really it's from young, right? What would you say would be a good exercise for anyone who's sitting behind a screen for 8 hours, or what would you recommend?
There's there's a lot, man. But I think one of the most basic one, which I've touched just now, is to have a good sitting posture with your back straight, lift your head up as much as you can. This is like a typical what a yoga instructor would say in a yoga class. And with that posture maintenance, I think one more extra thing you can do is just take a large bath towel, roll it up to about this thick. I mean, maybe about this thick, and then just put it at your back, where when you sit in a chair, you feel a little arch. That's sort of called like a little support for your back. Doing that will prevent you from rounding your back as you sit down, like getting into a very comfortable position. So I think that itself, even when you're driving, and I know that a lot of listeners and also a lot of people out there are doing Grab food at this moment, just part-time or moonlighting part-time or like full-time. If you sit on the car, you're most likely going to be on the car like almost 12 hours. And if you want to work hard and earn more, you're going to be more. So if you do that, what you can do is just roll up a towel and put it on your back. And if in this upright position, you feel like, oh man, it's my body doesn't like this anymore, you feel very like, oh man, like aching, Hokkien they call sung, very sung, the shoulder sung, the back sung, then just stand up. It's a sign that your body is telling you that, look, I think I have enough of sitting down. Let's take a walk, go to the bathroom, stand up and do some light stretches, whatever you know. Because having a good posture is the most fundamental, important thing before exercising. During this COVID, I know a lot of people do a lot of jogging. A lot of people do a lot of cycling and jogging, but there's a lot of people out there who are jogging with the wrong form. So it's actually a lot more worse than, it will create more problems. You will feel like, okay, maybe for the first 2 weeks, you feel good, you sweat. And then after that, 1 or 2 months later, you start developing some knee issues, some hip issues, some back issues because of poor posture in your walking or your exercises. So I think having a good posture to start off with would set the tone and the base foundation so that when you get into your activities, it's definitely going to be a lot easier. Yeah. I did see one more question. One of the viewers asked, how do I encourage my grandparents to start exercising? I think that is something I like to bring up because it's a bit tricky, to be honest. Like, I think the first step, what I like those listeners, if this is your question, go to your grandparents and do something with them. Do some exercises that you know them. If you're a boy, if you're a guy, done BMT, a great Singapore workout, just get them laughing, because I think when they get comfortable, I've seen clients on one end of the spectrum, they just throw their grandparents at me when the grandparents don't even want to be there. So it's really tough to kind of break into them. It's not impossible, but it takes a while, because elderly folks, they take a bit more to warm up. Not saying you, Brian, you're absolutely cool, man. But some elderly folks, they are very reserved, that's a bit more of the emotional and mental side of them. But if you can warm them up and they can see that, hey, I can actually do this, because most of the time they think they can't do certain exercises. But if the younger generation, like your akong ama or your parents, you go up to them and then you show them, do it together, have a good laugh, video it down, and then just have a good laugh, let her see it. You can see the change slowly. That's usually why I encourage my clients or any inquiries to come in. I'll ask them to firstly look at my IGTV first, whatever I've done, for example, with Brian. Do that, because if people, the Akong Ama look at Brian, right? At his age, he can do it in the most gentle sense, not asking to do like 100 burpees Navy SEAL style, but like if they can see all these gentle exercises is possible, they will know that it's possible. And if there's someone there for them to do it together with them, they won't feel so paiseh, you know what I mean? Like they won't be so shy about it. They'll just laugh, It's always like that for the elderly folks, senior folks from my experience. Yeah.
Actually, I
okay.
noticed another question coming in about vaccination, and this is directed at
Yeah.
Dr. Farhan, right? So,
Yes.
what do you think are the reasons, that's holding them back, and how can we help convince our seniors to actually go for their vaccination?
Yeah. So Bronson mentioned, activities to do with your akong, grandma, grandpa. I mean, one thing you can do is get them out of the house and get them out of the house to a vaccination center. Yeah,
No choice.
we had, yeah. Because a lot of times, the older person is very homebound. They're very homebound. It's
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
difficult to convince them to go out.
Yeah.
So just getting out of the house is one way to, straight away increase their physical activity. And I had an older person in the family who wasn't vaccinated, and it takes time for like a working adult, so for the children, for the grandchildren to bring grandma. So one day, my husband on his day off just booked an appointment slot, and if you're above 60, you know that you can just walk in, but we booked a slot anyway. I mean, there are like 10,000 slots available just because the IC reads that you're a senior. So my husband brought her for her shot, and yeah, that's one way that you could get older folks to vaccinate. You need to facilitate. I mean, the other reasons are some of my patients, they feel that they are homebound, so they don't go out, and therefore they are very safe. So that's the reason that that's the reason that they've not been vaccinated. So I try to educate them by saying that your children go out, your grandkids come and visit, your helper goes out every week. So just giving them the knowledge that it's important. And lastly, we do have homebound elderly that are bedbound, so it's difficult for them to get to a vaccination center. So there are services now where a nurse and a doctor can come to your house to give a jab to somebody who's bedbound. Yeah, so I think that that's really great. Yeah.
So all they have to do is actually just get online, go to MOH or vaccine.gov.sg. They can actually make arrangements for that as well, right?
Yes.
So a little plug again for Vintage Radio. That's actually under our useful contacts. So if you don't have to remember URLs, phone numbers, and all this, just open up the app, look at useful contacts. It's just really huge down there, just saying like protect yourself and your loved ones. So just touch on that, and all the information is there as well. It's I guess I'm not sure whether if there's like misleading information that's also going around via WhatsApp chat groups and all this. People say, "Oh, this one poison the other," and all that. Yeah. So I don't know. For me, it would be I remember, well, not the first shot, but I remember back in primary school, primary 6, you go for your vaccination, right? And then again round 2 at Sec 4, and then you got all these things and all this. And I think when it comes to vaccines, it's generally going to be okay, right? And we've all gone through it, especially for the elderly. They've all gone through it. So if you can think back about, when you were in school and you had to go through that, this is pretty much the same. It's just that out of the blue, we have COVID. And, this is something that has been developed, to try and protect as many people as possible. So granted, yes, there are 1 or 2 cases. I think they are pretty extreme because they've got some what was the term they use? They've got some precondition, right? So that's why they have some negative effects. But in general, most of us would benefit more than anything else to actually get that shot. So we'd like to encourage everybody, not just yourself, but the people around you, the seniors in your social circles. Please encourage them to consider getting vaccinated, because the moment they are, at least there are more activities that they can actually be a part of as well, and it's good for everybody, right?
Yes.
I think some of the viewers, I think that is great, but I think their question is like, how can we encourage them? So like, I think it's a bit tricky, but it's not impossible. I do have senior clients, I think about 6 or 7, actually 8 senior clients under my clients now. And about 4 of them at first, when the first jab came like way back in January, they were very resistant about it. They said, I don't need jab, I don't want all this. Exactly what you see here in WhatsApp, those kind of bogus group chat. It's poisonous. this is bad, that is bad. Everything is bad lah. So everything is in their group chat is bad. But what I did was I encouraged them by telling them, look, do you have grandchildren? Do you have kids? You know, and they say, yeah, I love my grandchildren. My grandchildren is 6. They're always very proud. All grandparents are always very proud of their grandchildren and their offspring. So I'll tell them, look, you got to take the jab, because if you don't take the jab, your children will take the jab. Your grandchildren is going to eventually go through this. So if you take the jab, you are protected. You can spend more time with them. You can, you know, you don't have to be, they don't have to be afraid of coming to you, or you don't have to be afraid of going out to meet them. You know what I mean? So, and if that don't work, I always throw the trump card. I always call the offspring. I said, okay, look, you ask the grandchildren to go and tell them, Akong Mama, take the jab, please. That usually works well. That usually keeps the spot like, Akong Mama, I want to play with you, but can you please take the jab so I can play with you, so I can go out with me to a restaurant to eat, or I can come and visit you, for those seniors who are more like bed bound, you know what I mean, like how Dr. Farhan has said. So almost 100% hit lah.
Yeah.
All the time when I say that, yeah.
It always works.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Bronson, you mentioned grandkids, you mentioned grandchildren. Children below 12 cannot get vaccinated, right?
Yeah, correct.
The vaccines are not safe. So these children are not vaccinated. They are, sorry, you cannot hear, is it? Oh, can you hear me? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So children are not vaccinated. Therefore, the adults have to be vaccinated, because we should like ring fence them. Yeah. So to not just for an older person to live long enough to play with their grandchildren, but these grandchildren are not vaccinated. So the last thing you want is for Akong to get COVID and then spread it to grandkids, right? That would be
that's right. Yeah.
Something really bad.
That's disaster, man. I mean, if you're 60 and above, I mean, go and get your jabs and tell them, they give me your best shot.
That's coming from Uncle Brian. There we go. So I'm just thinking here, right, Bronson, when it comes to you've touched on people staying in front of the TV or working for 8 hours and all this, right? But what would you recommend for seniors who, by no choice, sometimes bad weather and all this, right? They stay at home, they're cooped up, they can't go for their walks and all this. So is there something else that they can do, apart from watching TV? Because I guess sometimes also not much for them to watch lah. So what is it that we can actually encourage or suggest to our grandparents, our aged parents, right? What is it that we can help them or encourage them to do so that they are still activating muscles? Because if I'm not wrong, walking is one exercise, but you need to have that push-pull kind of a thing to activate certain muscles, and I'm getting lost already. So what would you recommend? I think
most of the clients that come to me or were hesitant coming to me at first, especially the senior clients, was they think that I'm the kind of trainer that will make them lift weights, make sure, like go hard on them. But it's actually the opposite. When they come to me, I focus. There's still push-pull motion, like you mentioned, that is important. But the more important one is to let them understand and improve their range of motion, which is their mobility. I think if they can get a better range of mobility, they will definitely feel a lot better instantly. Because as you grow old, you got so many imbalances, so many postural habits that are poor that created a lot of imbalances, like since young. So when I show them their imbalances, they instantly feel it most of the time. And for senior folks, it's quite common. The four main common parts are frozen shoulder, and then we call it dysfunctional gait, which is the way you walk, your stride, how you put your foot down. That includes posture, and then they got tight hips. Tight hips is a very common one, and then because of the tight hip, back issues. And also because of the tight hip, you get knee issues. So a lot of issues are always more of the core area and that's a centralized area, because that's the center of our body. So what I will advise them to do is to go to my IGTV because there's really a lot of exercises to do. I can't, if I tell you guys, it's going to end at like 12 midnight because there's so much exercises and because every client has a different issue. So I try and touch on a lot of different body parts every video so that they can choose and pick, So my video will be shoulders exercise for seniors, then just follow it. Or hip exercise and just follow it. So just go over to the Vintage Radio app for all the listeners and link up to my YouTube channel and then just try and follow. And it's mostly for the seniors who can't get up with on a chair bound. I do have even bed. I think one video I did it lying down, so it's for seniors who are bed bound. And of course those seniors who are really active like badminton, ping pong, golf seniors, that kind of thing. So I try and cater it for everyone. So there's exercise that focus on different areas for every kind of issues that you have. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, I just wanted to add one thing though. Bronson does his videos in different dialects and different languages as well. So it's not just English. Yeah, but he throws in his Hokkien and Cantonese and all that. So it's just great. At least we can serve as many as possible. It'll be good if you can pick up Malay and Tamil as well. Then that really makes you national.
I did.
Oh,
I did. Yeah, I did. I did a Hari Raya. I did a Hari Raya special with a close friend who's a tennis coach, but he's Malay. And then that was lots of fun, man. Because we use pots and pans. We know all the makcik like to make rendang, make like use kitchenware. They like to cook a lot. So I said you can use the pot. Imagine you're doing a tennis swing. So just a tennis swing motion, for example, like for your question, Eloy, just a tennis swing motion is actually working on the core. Just a very simple, like imagine you're swinging a tennis racket. That's working the core, but they use pans and pots. No need to buy a tennis racket. Then I also did a Tamil version with one of a close friend or so. So me and her, we just decided to do very simple like yoga-based mobility exercises where she spoke Tamil, and then I conversed in Hokkien. So it was a very nice variety going on for that video. I'll send it to you, so you know.
Great. I think there's a question here for Dr. Farhan. Let me see now. Other than physical exercises, what are some mental exercises that you can encourage everyone to do to prevent dementia in their later stage of life?
I think it's a great question. So we know what helps to prevent dementia. It is higher education, so just getting as educated as you can. And this starts from early life till, now we are learning forever, right? Learning till, till the day that we die probably. And studies have shown that all of us, we decline with age. Yeah, so if you take a memory test, Brian, if you had taken a memory test at 18, for example, and then you take a memory test at 80, let's say at 18 you scored 100 points. At 80, how many points do you think you would score in this memory test that you did so well at 18?
It's muted, is it?
Yeah. Sorry, Brian, I think we cannot hear you. Yeah. Okay.
You see, this is one little problem. Switching on and switching off.
I thought you were trying to challenge our hearing problem.
Actually, I was.
Yeah.
So, actually, it will decline over the years, Although I really wouldn't like to think that I believe I know more, than I did when I was young.
Yes.
I know more, but by the time you think you know more, it's time for you to go.
Okay.
So it's a little too late kind of thing, But it's
I've got something to share though. I got something to share about. Yeah, sorry. I got something to share about dementia. I do have some clients with dementia, mild dementia to even moderate. Especially this Malay uncle that I used to train. He's 78 years old. He has Parkinson's and dementia both. So, there's some link between the two. I'm not an expert on this, but I knew that there was some link. So, the exercises I did was, I found out that this uncle was a barber at Clifford Pier when he was young. So, but when I shared exercises like I shared in my IGTV with him, he's not very responsive at first because he was like, no, he doesn't know what I'm saying, and then after that he forgets, or he just stare into blank space for a bit. So I think that made me do, like Dr. Farhan said, that made me do my research on like dementia, Parkinson's, you know, I want to think of ways to help my clients. So I found out that he's a barber. So what I did was I bought a mop, and then I printed Michael Jackson's face on it. I put it on the mop, so you know it looks like Michael Jackson had hair. I bought a scissors and I brought it to his house, just put it down. Man, I can tell you, the uncle came to life. It's like he took with his hands and his scissors, he just came to life. Like his son, his daughters were shocked. They had never seen him done this before. He was just so focused, like everything. He was just, the son told me this is like him 20 years ago. So it was quite an emotional moment because like I could see that they were really happy to see this. But my point is, I think for the question of encourage in terms of the dementia department, what you can do is find out what does your senior used to do. See if you can entice and bring that back, because that repetition of memory, right, I think would always be there. I don't know if you all watched the show like 50 First Dates. It's something like that. Something like that. So it's just repetitions, so when he was cutting his hair like halfway, I would say, Uncle, stop, let's do some exercise, circles, you know, like shoulder shrugs. Then slowly, but surely, that got into his mindset. I'm not a psychologist, but I think it got into his system where this became like a norm. So every time I see him, I say, Uncle, ready, Michael Jackson? He was, oh, okay. Natural, automatically. So it slowly got better after that. And he definitely got more. Every time there's something that he likes to do, I feel a senior when they like to do something, like even gardening, cutting a plant, you know, doing some plant gardening. If they suffer from dementia and you bring this back to them, it would entice them back to where they are currently, if you know what I mean.
I think some parts of that, if I may add, I think some parts of that, if I may add, is like, you know, it's muscle memory as well, something that something that they can actually get into it. Yeah. Wow, that's a great revolution, Bronson. It's like, the only thing I can say is wow, you know, and I'm trying to figure out what I can do for my mom to get her exercising. Although she actually does a lot of exercise, I'm actually quite lucky in the sense that my mom is still very active at the age of 80. And, you know,
if she's a hard knock mom, maybe you can buy her a cane alloy. Then everything should come back. Like,
okay.
Now you have shared my secret.
Just coming back to that question about what you can do. So I talked about memory tests because, you know, if you do really well, like when you're young, you scored 100 points. Then when you're 80, you score 80 points. Okay? Let's say if the passing mark is 50, you know, like if you score below 50, you have dementia. So if you're 80, you know, you're doing really well. So that's like by starting off high with like education. But let's say you didn't have much education. So at 18, you score 60 points, for example. When you drop 20 points, you get 40. So, you know, you like fail the memory test, and with other symptoms, you get dementia. Yeah, so I would say that just having as high an educational attainment as possible, that's very protective against dementia. So there's an anti-Alzheimer's campaign that goes, use it or lose it. You know, use your brain or lose it. So you just really have to keep active. And the other thing that you really need to avoid is depression. So depression is really bad for the brain. Like a depressed older person may appear forgetful, but this isn't dementia. You know, they are just so sad that it becomes what we call a pseudo dementia. The other thing I would say is that retirement age should be as late as possible. Once you retire, immediately your social connections go down. You know, if you're not actively volunteering or doing unpaid work, for example, immediately, you know, you're just less stimulated. So I would say like working till, you know, working till as late a stage as possible, or just like doing meaningful work till the end. That's really important, and studies have shown that as well.
Well, that's good information. And I guess the other thing is also to give a shout out to the things that, you know, the National Civil Academy is actually trying to do. the Council for Third Age, right, where they're actually putting up courses and all this, and in some ways subsidizing it as well. It is good for everybody to pick up a new skill. Maybe even after retirement, learning something new can bring you to doing something additional, something different that you always like to do. I don't know. A lot of people, I know we have a lot of seniors who are actually very talented, but they gave up music and all this because they want to join the rat race and all this, right? So you give up. So now is a great time to pick up how to play the piano, how to play guitar, how to play the drums. And it's especially the drums is really good exercise, right? You're like doing push pull, bang bang, whatever. So and nowadays, even if you buy a second-hand drum set, right, that's going to cost you maybe a few $100s. It's quiet. You're not going to wake up the neighbors. You just plug in your headphones and then ga-da-boom, ga-da-bam, ga-da-boom, ga-da-bam, and nobody's hearing it except yourself. So it's really good for you to just literally get off your behind and start picking up something new and just continue learning, because that keeps you active, that keeps your mind active, and in some ways it's probably going to increase your social activity as well, because who knows, maybe you can still play in a band, you can still perform. I mean, we just interviewed Mr. Henry Chua, right, Brian? Yeah, and at age 80 he still plays the guitar. And then, there was Grandma Mary. At age 60, she picked up the guitar. She picked up learning to play the guitar, So it's not beyond us. And in fact, that's what it is.
I mean, Henry, talking about Henry, of course, he was the original bass player and of the band called the Quests. You remember the Quests?
Yes.
They were Singapore's premier group way back in the 60s and 70s, And Grandma Mary, who is now 84, I believe, and still rocking away on the guitar.
And I must give a shout out to Brian as well, because he just went for his Windows course with NSA, and you're going to hear about that on Vintage Radio as well. Yeah, so I think if anything, really is that for those who are watching in, for those who are tuning in, thank you very much. But what's more important is a few takeaways from all the different sessions that we've had here on Vintage Radio with many people, right? I think a few takeaways is, number one, we all need to take ownership and try to make sure that we start with ourselves, to continue learning, to live a healthy lifestyle. And for the people around us, really, it is to be a little bit more aware, right, of what they're going through, and do take that initiative to help out and understand a little bit more. Let's not be so fast to be negative. Let's celebrate the positive as well. I think that was what we picked up from last week as well. Don't just go, that's wrong, but celebrate what is right, celebrate what is good, and encourage more of that. Sounds a bit utopic or whatever, but I think we need to move in that direction. Otherwise, we're just going to be sliding down the slope. Any comments, any last words from anyone before we bring this to a close, because we've gone above our 45 minutes again, and it's a Friday. I don't want to keep you away from your family.
I think from the feedback we've been getting, somebody suggested mahjong. It's difficult and very stimulating to the mind. And I agree 100%.
Very stimulating for the pockets also, for some aunties and uncles. That's what I know.
Oh, yes. Tell me about it,
Yeah. I mean, there's been lots of suggestions about activities, and I think Bronson, he told such a great story about the barber, the uncle who cut hair. Yeah. So I think there's really no, just like humans are so diverse, there isn't like a one size fits all, but it's really like, what fits your interest, what's in dementia terminology, we call it person-centered care. Like, who is this person? What does he or she like? So Bronson mentioned makcik with the frying pans and the pots and pans. Yeah. So it's just about finding your passion and building on it. And then Aloysius mentioned finding a new passion. So you can learn anything at any stage of your life. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Farhan and Bronson. Dr. Farhan, I know you only do one a week, but this is like your second one this week already in terms of Live IG. Thank you so much. Thank you. Don't mean to take you away from your family, your kids, especially your baby. Stop crying, thankfully. Bronson, my apologies and my thanks to your wife to allow you to do this, even though this is date night. Otang you want. Otang you big time. Thank you. Thank you to both of you very much for being
No,
here
she's
with
good.
us.
She's
Yeah.
looking at me now. So my CEO is
Yeah,
right
he's
beside
like,
me looking at me now.
when is Bronson going to be stretching on the floor while we watch Netflix? Right?
Yes. Cuddle, remember, cuddle.
Cuddles, yeah, for sure.
Yes. Okay, well, Dr. Farhan, thank you very much. Bronson, thanks a lot. Brian, thank
You
you
guys, man,
again.
nice to meet you all. See you guys again. Bye.
Thank
Have a
you.
good
Thanks for having me.
weekend.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.